and gentlemen, my name is Engineer Ben O.C. Oko, the Director of Program for today's event. Please, can we all stand for the national anthem? While we are still standing, let's take the opening prayer and second stanza of our national anthem. Let's recite that together as we say, O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great love highs at
and to build a nation
where peace and justice shall reign. Amen. Please, can we take our seats? Once again, good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Still on the microphone is Engineer Ben O.C. Oko, the Director of Programs. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the coronavirus is by far the worst global health challenge in the recent history, as it continues to wreak public health, human lives, and economies and social well-being of nations. It is upon this that the Nigerian Society of Engineers, under the leadership of Engineer Babagana Mohammed, has put up together a sensitization video slide to educate the engineering family of the dangers of COVID-19 and all the precautionary measures we should take to avoid the spread of this pandemic. Can we just stay tuned as we watch this slide for some minutes on COVID-19? Thank you.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all.
We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me. Well, send them your heart, so they know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free.
As God has shown us by turning stone to bread.
And so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are the children.
We are the one to make a brighter day. So let's start giving.
Oh, there's a choice for
Hello.
me. We'll
Hello, can you hear me from Lagos? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, can you play the screen from the other end, please? I don't know why
No,
it's
it's
not
okay
playing.
now. It's
Yeah?
okay. We are seeing the video.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. Who is there? Who is in it?
There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own life. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, can we put our hands together for that beautiful clip? Let's put our hands together. Yeah. Fantastic. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, since the creation of the Nigerian Society of Engineers Victoria Island branch in the year 2006, the branch has remained committed to promoting the advancement of engineering education, research and practice in all its ramifications, and has also played a pivotal role in organizing quality programs aimed at developing the human capacity of its members, sensitization and enlightenment of the public, and provision of quality advice to the policymakers and stakeholders alike. As of today, in every conceivable parameter, the branch ranks among the top branches in the committee of NSC branches. This enviable position wouldn't have been possible without the great and wonderful efforts of their highly respected and highly revered fathers and heroes past. These are the great men and women who played great role, not only in establishing the branch, but have also consistently nurtured and supported its astronomical growth to what it is today. This is the reason the branch, under the leadership of Engineer Rose Madaki, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, resolved that if prophets do not have honors in other clans, in the Nigerian Society of Engineers Victoria Island branch, their prophets will not just be honored, but will also be celebrated. Upon this backdrop, the Nigerian Society of Engineers Victoria Island branch organized the maiden edition of Engineer Babagana Mohammed annual lecture in honor of his past chairman, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. This epoch-making event, which attracted the cream of Nigerian engineers and dignitaries from all walks of life, was held on Thursday, 29th August 2019 at the National Engineering Center Annex, Victoria Island, Lagos. The theme of that event was Workplace Productivity, the Role of Engineer, and Engineer Elizabeth Essien, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, General Manager Offshore Operation, ExxonMobil, was the guest lecturer. These distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Victoria Island branch, Engineer John Audu, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, I welcome you to the second edition of Engineer Babagana annual lecture with the theme, Infrastructure Development and Management Lessons from COVID-19. It's my singular honor, therefore, to acknowledge the presence of the following personalities who have joined us for today's event. Let me specially acknowledge the presence of our honoree and president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, our very distinguished engineer, Babagana Mohammed, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Let me also specially acknowledge the presence of our keynote speaker for today's event and president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Engineer Ali Masuya Rabiu, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and fellow of the American Society of Civil Engineers. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Let me also specially acknowledge the presence of the guest speaker of today's event, our very distinguished Professor Ndubisi Elekwe, chairman of Fast Micro Group. Can we put our hands together for him? Also know that we have some special guests, as you heard the president where he said it will be joining us in today's event. That's we are talking about the executive governor of Borno State and the executive governor of Nasarawa State. Once they join us, as the president requested, we'll pause with everything we have in our program to usher them in and give them all the due recognitions. Now, I can also see the immediate past president of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering and founding president of APWEN, Engineer Juan Olumadoka, FNAC, FA. Please, can we put our hands together for her? I can also see the Vice President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Aishatu Aliu Umar, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Also, I can see the Executive Secretary of the Federal Capital Development Authority. That is my boss, Engineer Umar Gambo Jibrin, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a recipient of the National Honor of Officer Order of the Niger OON. You're welcome, sir. I can also see my past president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Ademola Isaac Olorufemi, FNSE. You're welcome, sir. I can also see past Vice President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a council member of Koren, Engineer Margaret Aina Oguntala, FNSC. You're welcome, ma. I can also see the very lady who thought it wise to institute this program we are having today. Immediate past chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Victoria Island branch, Engineer Rose Madaki, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. You are welcome. I can also see past chairman, national chairman, Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, Engineer Dr. Tunde Olatunji. You are welcome, sir. I can also see, let me also in a very special way acknowledge also the chairman of the branch, my very good friend, Engineer John Audu, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I think we are going to be pausing with the recognitions so that we can go straight into the program. We are going to come back to that, and I assure you that everybody that should be recognized will be duly and respectfully recognized in the course of this program. On that note, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me, in a very special way, invite the chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Victoria Island Branch, Engineer John Audu, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, for his welcome address. Please, can we put our hands together for him, Engineer John Audu.
Thank you, Ben. President, Chairman in Council of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC, who is also the honoree of today's event. Our very special guests of honor, Your Excellencies, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Engineer Babagana Umara Zulum, FNSC MNI, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, FNSC, the Deputy President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Tasio Wudil, FNSC, past presidents of our Noble Society, our guest speaker, Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe, distinguished fellows and members of our great society, our invited guests here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all and thank you very much for taking time off your very busy schedules to join us at this August occasion. It is the second in the series of public lectures instituted by the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Victoria Island Branch, in honor of one of our founding fathers, a former chairman of our branch, and now the 32nd president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC. PBM, as he is fondly called. I sometimes mix this up with another great hero of our country, PMB, President Muhammad Buhari, and not surprisingly, the two leaders have a lot in common. Many of us were attracted to the NSCVI branch by PBM's charisma and humility. The amazing bundle of energy that he embodies is immediately apparent upon meeting him. And his passion for the society is unparalleled and extremely infectious. Several of his mentees caught the bug from him and have become chairman of the branch in succession. I am one of them. He was my chairman back in the day, but today I'm his chairman by the grace of God. EMB's legacy is the blueprint upon which we have been running this branch for the past 10 years. The branch has seen a steady rise from humble beginnings to becoming one of the most sought after branches in Nigeria today. For the sake of brevity, I will dwell only on some of our giant strides in recent past. For example, in the last 2 to 3 years alone, under the leadership of my predecessor, Engineer Rose Madaki, FNSC, NSCVI engaged in community development projects within our catchment areas and sometimes beyond. We supported primary and secondary healthcare initiatives and extensive collaboration with industry. A very good example of that is our collaboration with the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, which has yielded a lot of amazing results. Suffice this to add that this lecture series also began within that period. Today we have come of age as a branch, my president and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Through the diligent and dogged execution of our 4 vision-enabling strategies of pervasively innovating, service to our society, human capacity development, and enhanced welfare for our engineers, we have impacted our society much more than we have done in the history of this branch. Our primary goal has been to proffer solutions to fundamental challenges in our society today. Our innovations include, but not limited to, a 1 kVA solar gen to replace the popularly known environmentally unfriendly I better pass my neighbor gen sets that litter the landscape in Nigeria. We have also developed its wind turbine equivalent and a solar phone charging stations, just to mention a few of them. To ensure that these ideas are properly seeded and entrenched in our society, we have adopted the Lagos State University and commenced several promising programs with them. Perhaps our greatest pride and joy comes from how we have been able to attract leaders at the highest level of government in Lagos State to sit at the table and discuss solutions to far-reaching societal challenges, such as affordable mass housing, traffic congestion, and power. Again, just to mention a few of them. To achieve these feats, our branch has received tremendous support from President Babagana Mohammed, FNSC. Since he became president, and we hope that Your Excellencies and our special guest will assist us in actualizing the dream that we have of becoming the engineering hub for homegrown technology and industrialization in Nigeria. Once again, we thank you very much and welcome you to the branch that makes the difference. Thank you.
Please, can we put our hands together for the chairman? It's indeed the branch that makes the difference. And I keep saying it that Nigeria Society of Engineers VI branch is one of the most powerful branches because it's the branch that is hosting all the oil companies in Nigeria, their headquarters. You can see how powerful they are. So if you want to smile to the bank, you know the branch to go to. But let's leave it there. Let me not touch them because it's their day. But because my chairman and past chairman from Abuja branch are here, and Abuja branch, we know what we have, but let's leave VI today so that they can enjoy their day. Thank you very much, my chairman. I can also see Her Excellency, the wife of the Deputy Governor of Delta State, Engineer Dr. Ebieren Otuaro. You're welcome, ma. And interestingly, I'm seeing a name here. I keep saying it that in the past we were told that behind every successful man, there is a woman. And I can put here today that is no longer behind. Permit me to say that beside every successful president, there is also a president of the Spouses Forum of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Let me, in a very special way, acknowledge the presence of Engineeress Aisha Omar Babagana, wife of the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Let's put our hands together for her. I can also see the executive secretary of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Dr. Alex Okopimomo, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. We also have an army of executive committee members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers who have joined us here. We know we have engineer, I recognize engineer Ishatu Aliuma. We have seen engineer Tassu Sahad Gedari Wudi, FNAC deputy president, has joined us. We have, you're welcome, sir. We have engineer Yakubu Ali Garuba, FNAC vice president, and engineer Felix Ibitoye Adeniran, FNAC, all of them fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, vice president also, he has joined us. We have engineer Halimat Adediran, MNAC ESCO member, engineer Professor Abdurrahim Toyin. He has also joined us, engineer Chinyere Ndenna Igwebwe, joined us, engineer Rabiu Haruna Rabiu, ESCO member, engineer Moji Olorotoba has also joined us, and engineer Ibrahim Aliu. All these are members of the Executive Committee of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, we know, as the chairman rightly said, is a man of extraordinary credentials. And in every sense of modesty, I think I lack the local standee to present him to the guest today. Therefore, there is someone who is in our midst today who I believe has known Babagana for so many years and has worked closely with him for so many years. If the saying that goes this way, that no one can be more Catholic than the Pope, suffices, then I can also say that no one can be more Babagana in the engineering family and in the context of this program than the very chairman who instituted this annual lecture. Therefore, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome Engineer Rose Madaki, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, to read the citation of our honoree, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC. Please, can we put our hands together for Engineer Rose Madaki? Engineer Rose Madaki.
Now, yeah, I was muted. Now
Okay.
yeah. Okay. As usual, the protocol has been established. A very good evening, Mr. President and all our guests of honor. It's a privilege for me to read the citation of my mentor. I don't even know where to start from because I have about 8 pages to read. So I just have to summarize everything. Otherwise, we stay so long today in reading the citation of Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC. Let me just go straight to the citation. Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC, was born on the 10th of October 1964 in Borno State of northern eastern part of Nigeria. He started his educational career in Yalwa Central Primary School, Maiduguri, from 1970 to 1971, where he proceeded to his secondary school in Gashua from 1978 to 1982. From Gashua, he proceeded to Ramat Polytechnic, Maiduguri, where he obtained his OND from 1983 to 1985. Then his university degree was from Maiduguri University from 1989 to 1992, where he obtained his bachelor degree in mechanical engineering. Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC, has worked in many organizations. He acquired several experiences. Engineer Babagana's first area of employment was in Chad Basin Development Authority, Maiduguri, from 1992 to 2002, where he was in charge of 30 megawatts of new power station before he willingly resigned as a chief mechanical engineer to join the Nigeria Engineering Technology Company, NETCO. He has postgraduate experience covering over 26 years and has handled many projects in the oil and gas sectors, which I will mention just but few. As I told you, I have about 8 pages document before me. So I need to summarize this particular aspect. From 2003, where he joined the oil and gas sector, to February 2004, he was a piping support engineer, saddled with a project in NLNG plus project fractionation units area 4 and 5, where his responsibilities were monitoring of project execution schedules, inspection of piping system layout, preparation of project reports. In 2004, He was a senior piping support engineer with the responsibility in a particular project called Technip Geoproduction SDN in Kuala Lumpur project for EAP EPC 1A. His responsibilities were checking AutoCAD drawing and ensuring conformity with P&ID drawings and clients' project specifications, checking of drawing from all disciplines involved in projects, monitoring of project execution schedules, preparation of project reports. In 2015, I have to jump the work experience because it's quite a lot. In 2015, he was a manager and he handled a project Ring Main Terminal upgrade. His responsibilities were execution plan basis of design and man-hour forecast, interface with other engineering disciplines, provided technical support to junior engineers and designers, review vendors' documents, coordinated discipline activities. In 2017, June, he was a lead engineer in a project called NPSC Crude and Project Pipeline Depot Survey, where he was saddled with the responsibilities of preparing and reviewing of engineering documents, quality assurance and quality control reviews of engineering drawings and designs and documents. In 2018, he was a senior engineer in a project called NGPTC Fit of Makaraba GPCF project. His responsibilities were check and review of engineering design, overall plot plan, equipment layout, preparation and review of engineering documents, check of piping disciplines, procedures, material specifications, MTO, line schedules, lists, tie in the list, SP list, pipe support specifications, MTO, and draft list. Also, qualitative check on piping engineering drawing and designs and documents for quality assurance and quality control reviews. In 2018 to 2019, he was a lead piping engineer in a project called Major Integrity Project, MIPS, of Mobile Producing Unlimited. Those projects were divided into two. We have one that was QIT Mobile Power Unit Project, and then QIT Emergency Generator Upgrade Project. His responsibilities there were data collection as built, development, and tie-in identification, checked PDMS modeling of all piping and equipment as per project scopes, check all 2D extractions from PDMS, 3D model for all the piping drawing deliverables required by the project scope, generated piping inputs to construction scope of work, general coordination of piping team activities, prepared and updated piping inputs into the master deliverable register, perform quality checks and ensure all deliverables are in accordance with the client specifications and standards. Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC, has additional skills in software. Few of them are Microsoft Office Suites, AutoCAD, Real 2004, MDS, etc. In training, Babagana Mohammed has acquired skills and professional trainings in his workplace. A few of these trainings were and still are basic piping training on NETCO, piping stress analysis course PII in NETCO, AutoCAD from computer aided drafting in NETCO, PDMCS training in NETCO, pipe support management system in Malaysia, piping support design training technique in Malaysia, smart plant training in Malaysia, multidisciplinary support training in Malaysia, MATCAD in Malaysia, helicopter and underwater escape training, NETCO, construction safety, risk assessment and behavioral training in the UK, pipe stress analysis training by Intergraph, Houston, Texas, United States of America. In terms of his stewardship to the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSC, has started his leadership career with Victoria Island branch in 2007 as a branch secretary. He was a vice chairman, Victoria Island branch 2009 to 2011, current inspector in Victoria Island Inspectorate 2010, chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Victoria Island 2011 to 2012, chairman, Lagos State NSC Chairman Forum 2013 to 2014. I need to take a glass of water. Member, Conference Planning Committee 2000 and 2012. Member, Finance and Budget Monetary Committee 2011. Member, Presidential Investiture Committee of the 28th President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer MB Shehu, FNSC 2011. Member, Nigerian Content Committee 2012 and 2013. Member, Presidential Investiture Committee of the 29th President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Ademola Isaac Olorofumi, FNSC 2013. Member, Presidential Investiture Committee of the 30th President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Otis O.T. Ayeji, FNSC 2015. Member, Board of Directors of Nigerian Society of Engineers, Venture 2011 to 2015. Member, Nigerian Society of Engineers Group Dynamics Competition for Division 2014, 2015, and 2016. Vice President, Professional Development of the Nigerian Society of Engineers 2014 and 2015. Vice President, Membership Services 2016. Member, NSC Onward Strategic Vision 2016. Chairman, Engineering Regulation Liaison and Legislation Board 2016. Chairman, EGM Planning Committee 2016. Chairman, Membership Services Board 2016. Chairman, Tax on Food, Entertainment and Transport 2016. Member of Engineering Regulation Liaison / Legislation Board 2017. Deputy President and Chairman, Finance Administration, Budget and Investment 2018. Board Member, National Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI 2020. Council Member, Council for Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, current 2018 to date. President and Chairman in Council of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, currently. His professional career are just to list them: registered member of current, corporate member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineers. Engineer Babagana Mohammed has acquired a lot of awards, which I will mention just but very few. One of them in the list is the Borno State Governor's Award for the Best Student in Agriculture in 1981. Lagos State Chapter of Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineers Award for the Meritorious Service to the Society and Humanity 2011, 2013, and 2017. The Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineers Special Award for Meritorious Service to the Society 2012, 2014, 2015, and 2016. The Nigerian Society of Engineers Special Award for Service from Lagos, Zaria, Apapa, Katsina, Damaturu, Egwin, Enugu, Onitsha, Owerri, Victoria Island Branch, Yola, Kaduna, Aba, Ibadan, etc. Presidential Merit Award for Diligence and Utility in Multivarious Functions in the Service of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in 2016. The Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineers Lagos Chapter Service Award for 2017. Commendation letter Commendation letter from the Nigerian Society of Engineers, 2016. The Nigerian Society of Engineers Lagos Branch Award of Excellence in 2018. This is distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to have the honor and privilege to present to you the President and Chairman in Council of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the honoree of today's event, who happens to be my mentor, my past chairman, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNLC. Thank you very much.
Wow, please can we put our hands together for our honoree? Let's clap for our honoree, please. It can't be less than that. A man with such an intimidating credentials cannot be less than the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Once again, Mr. President, we are honored that you are our president, and we are very proud of your legacies of public service. Once again, let's put our hands together for Mr. President. Before we go to the next item we have in our program, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of the following. I can see the Vice President of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Engineer Venatius Igiri, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Please, can we put our hands together for him? I can also see past President of APWEN, Engineer Patricia Opene Odili, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Engineer Doctor, please. Engineer Dr. Patricia Opene Odili, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. You're welcome, ma'am. Also, I can see Engineer Fulayo Kadri, also founding
Member.
One of the founding members of APWEN. I can also see Engineer Nkechi Sigwe, past Vice President of NSC, past President of APWEN. Engineer Aramide Adeyoye is the SA to the Lagos State Governor on Works and Infrastructure. You are welcome, ma. I can also see Engineer Omar Binde. Engineer Omar Binde is past Secretary to the State Government, Adamawa State. I can also see Vice Chairman, VI Branch Engineer Ibe. Let me also acknowledge the presence of Council Member of Korean Engineer Felix Obuzeme. You are welcome, sir. I can also see Engineer Andem Ekobasi, past National Chairman NICE. I can see Engineer Fumilayo Ojelade, President APWEN. And let me, in a special way, acknowledge the presence of Engineer Dr. Kwame Buaki. Engineer Dr. Kwame Buaki is past president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. You are welcome, sir. And I can also see we have an army of branch chairmen here. Please, all our branch chairmen, you are duly, respectfully, and honorably recognized. I can also see our national chairman, all national chairmen also, you are duly, respectfully, and honorably recognized, and all our fellows in the house. All the fellows of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in the house, I want to respectfully recognize all of you. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, he has served in the Nigerian Society of Engineers with every sense of humility. Since I know him, he has been a very strong
The governor of Nasarawa is there.
Okay, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have to pause. And why I have to pause is that the person I wanted to recognize, if I had done that, I would have been sanctioned because I've just been informed by the Mr. President that His Excellency, the governor of Nasarawa State, one of our very special guests for this event, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, has just joined us for this event. Your Excellency, the governor, we want to specially welcome you.
Thank you, sir. But I have been here. It's not now that I just joined. I was here when
I actually saw him.
I have been here when the biography was read. I was here when the branch manager of Lagos was actually branch manager of chairman of Lagos actually did all his presentation. I've been listening, Mr. MC, sir.
Your Excellency, we are very sorry about that. We want to sincerely apologize for that. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I wouldn't know if you still have much time to spend with us so that we can go next to the next program, or if you want to come in now so that we can allow you to attend to other important state matters.
I will really appreciate it.
Okay, so you have the floor, sir. Your Excellency, we want to hand over the mic to you so that you can give us your goodwill message so we can continue with the rest of the program. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mr. President, sir, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, fellow and the celebrant today, all the various fellows who are here, the branch chairmen who are here, our able MC, Her Excellency also on the line that I was told, and all my other fellow engineers. Let me first and foremost use the opportunity to congratulate my dear brother, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, who is a fellow of so many ones. I don't want to stop, but for this event, let me say fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I know you are also a fellow of Nigerian Society of Mechanical Engineers, fellow of this, fellow of that. You have so many of them. So let me just stop at Nigerian Society of Engineers, sir. Let me congratulate you, and let me also congratulate our Nigerian Society of Engineers for identifying you. When I sat down quietly, they are listening to all these places you have attended, all these achievements you have had in engineering. I'm sitting here saying, why am I a governor? I will have just followed their path so that I can achieve all the various rather than being a governor of Nasarawa State. So thank you very much, sir, for all your services to the public sector and for everything that you have done to keep it going. I'm supposed to speak actually on the effects of COVID-19 when it comes to engineering. I was asked to speak about that for a few minutes. Coincidentally, it was the same issue I was discussing with Mr. President yesterday because I was in Abuja. I just rushed back from Abuja in order to join this meeting. So COVID-19 actually has come with a lot of challenges for every sector, and engineering cannot be in isolation. So engineering also is going to come with its own challenges that COVID-19 has done that. Looking at all the various areas that our president has worked in the oil and gas sector, in various areas of the public sector, you will notice that today COVID-19 is posing its challenges in all these areas. Number one is on the area of finances. So everything that has to do with finance, especially for countries like Nigeria, we are seeing the impact of COVID-19, and it is beginning to show clearly. Even in other non-financial areas, such as manufacturing and the rest of that, we are seeing a lot of other challenges, and all these are affected by engineering. So engineering is going to be part of it. I was working in Dangote as the managing director in Dangote Sugar and Apapa, and then coincidentally, from here, I'm able to discuss with them, and on the telephone, I'm able to see what is happening in every area of that. So that's a company I left before coming here to become a governor that was working 7 to 7 and another shift 7 to 7. Because of this effect, a lot of modifications had to be made in the entire system of production to adapt with COVID-19 challenges. You know, areas of engineering such as modification of the loading aspect of the raw material, the bagging of the raw material, the discharge of the finished product, and all these other areas had to be modified now because of contamination. People now who are living in confined areas sometimes have to wear masks. So changes have to be made in the entire manufacturing sector to agree with what is happening with COVID-19. So these are some of the challenges that we are going to face. Now going to the buildings that we can see. Today, most of the buildings that we see in Nigeria, especially public places, you know, some of these offices, what you will continue to see is aspect of cleanliness as you go into those buildings and as you come out of those buildings. Those will now have to be incorporated in our own engineering designs. COVID-19 is teaching us something in that area. Designs of even hospitals that we are having today, because of social distancing, is also teaching us other things that we have to do, you know, to make amendments in the way we live. This is all as a result of COVID-19 that we have seen. So those are some of the few challenges that we are seeing with COVID-19. On my way from Abuja, I stopped by one of our factories for farming where there is a mill, you know, that is producing maybe most of the feeds, you know, for chicken and the rest of that in the country, you know. So, and when I stopped there, I saw a lot of work that is taking place and a lot of changes that are taking place, you know, and they are telling me some of them going on as a result of COVID-19, because production system had to change since people had to maintain some social distancing. So bagging stations have to be moved a little bit apart as a result of COVID-19 that has brought to us. So I think these are some of the ideas that I am trying to mention, so that as we go into new designs as engineers, you know, we have to take them into consideration, because we don't know when another COVID-19 will hit, you know. So now that we have learned from it, we have to do everything possible to make sure that we protect the future. There are so many other places today that are modifying some of the aspect of their production, some of the aspect of their manufacturing as a result of COVID-19. So as we go more into that, we have to now make changes, you know, in our designs going into that. But more importantly, really, the essence of my joining this is to congratulate my good friend, you know, who has done very, very well, who deserves all the commendation that are poured into him. I want to congratulate you, sir. I think you have done well for this country. And I know that there are a lot of other fellow engineers online who have also done similar to you. I'm not able to congratulate everybody one at a time. You know, when I grow up, I want to be like you, you know, so that I can have all these other places. So I thank you, sir, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address it. May God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. But before you go, when we are talking, you said if you had known, you would have followed the path of Engineer Babagana. And I quickly whispered to Mr. President, what does he think? He said, if you are willing to swap your position with his own, he is ready for that. So that is a topic for another day, Your Excellency.
I don't have
we are very, very grateful.
I have the experience. If I do, then I can take that up. But I don't have the experience to take this position.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And I want to tell you that the engineering family are very proud of your legacies of public service and what you are doing in Nasarawa State. We will continue to pray for you that you succeed. You are flying our flag very well, and God will continue to bless, protect, and keep you. Thank you very much for joining us in today's event, and may God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, he has a physical and moral precision of mind, which has enabled him all through his varied career to rise above the ordinary levels of his generation. He's an accomplished engineer and has traversed the length and breadth of the engineering profession, both vertically and horizontally, without any angular deflection. I believe it's only a theodolite or a total station that can do that. He has served the engineering profession in different capacities He was chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Kano branch at a time, and also served 3 times as vice president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. By the special grace of God and by the common will of the Nigerian engineers, he is today the president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I wear our keynote speaker today's event, Engineer Ali Masuya Rabiu, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and Fellow of the American Society of Civil Engineers, as he presents his keynote address. Please, can we put our hands together for Mr. President?
Thank you very much. Thank you, my director of programs. I hope I'm very clear.
Yes, sir.
Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a great honor for me to deliver this keynote address at this year's edition of Engineer Babagana Mohammed Annual Lecture, organized by the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Victoria Island Branch. I'm to present a keynote address, so I'm going to be very brief. Mine is to set the ball rolling for the lecture proper. And before I do that, let me say a word or two on our honoree for today. For a very long time, from 2006 and 2007, when the Victoria Island branch was midwifed and eventually created, the name Babagana Mohammed has sounded like a recurring decimal. In fact, at some point, Babagana Mohammed was synonymous with the Victoria Island branch. Whenever the NSC Victoria Island branch was mentioned, what readily came to mind of some of us who were very active at the NSC at the time was the name Engineer Babagana Mohammed. He had an opportunity to emerge as the first chairman of the young branch at the time, but in his usual characteristic humility, he allowed some of his seniors, I remember Taiwo Elegba, to go as the first chairman. And when it was also vacant and he could have been the second chairman, he allowed Abu Salami to take a shot at the chairmanship. And he later settled for the position of chairman as the 3rd chairman of Victoria Island branch, sometimes in 2012 or so. This is Babagana Mohammed for you. So I'd like to commend the leadership of the Nigerian Society of Engineers Victoria Island branch for instituting this lecture series in honor of this great engineer. And for my keynote address, let me say that there are continuing global challenges in combating the COVID-19 pandemic as the global cases soar to about 21 million, with about 800,000 deaths and over 14 million persons recovering. Nigeria in particular has recorded little less than 50,000 cases as of yesterday, with 900 and about 80 deaths and 35,000 persons recovering. The impact of the pandemic is threatening the growth of economics globally. Specifically, the pandemic is affecting governments in terms of their plans and policies on infrastructure, as well as various industries and sectors dealing with infrastructural development and management. In fact, a recent report from the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and Planning in Nigeria indicates that inflation in Nigeria is expected to remain above single digit over the medium term. This is given the structural issues impacting on the cost of doing business in Nigeria. including high cost of food distribution. The medium-term outlooks for Nigeria suggest that fiscal risks are somewhat elevated, largely due to COVID-19 related disruptions, which has exacerbated structural weaknesses in the economy. This was taken from the Nation newspaper of 13th August 2020. Now, over the years, Nigeria has embarked on a reasonable number of laudable infrastructural projects across the nation, either fully completed or currently ongoing. These projects range from roads, power, housing, water supply, airports, railways, bridges, refineries, and so on. Prior to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria, most of the infrastructure in Nigeria were poorly maintained, except in some cases or instances where public-private partnership systems were adopted. The poor maintenance attitude always results to rapid deterioration of the facilities and consequent loss of value. Certainly, if fiscal risks are elevated due to inflation, largely due to COVID-19 related disruptions, then the cost of doing business in Nigeria would be greatly affected. Consequently, the issue of development and management of infrastructure would equally face challenges, considering the fact that the development and management of key infrastructure in Nigeria are handled by foreign experts. I believe that there is need for all stakeholders in the public and private sectors of the economy to synergize as well as collaborate with relevant organizations at home and abroad towards combating the high inflation and its consequences against the economy of this country. Government should prioritize its spending commitment in the light of the pandemic. This could impact on infrastructure development, management, and investment. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, engineering is a key driver of innovation and human development. The attainment of many of the Sustainable Development Goals requires the achievement of sufficient engineering capacity to provide infrastructure and sustainable technological development. On the whole, the role of engineering to development, operation, and maintenance of critical infrastructure is attested globally by all and sundry, under varied environments, ranging from developed, developing, and underdeveloped economies. The deliverables from engineering professionals are very tangible, impactful, and pivotal in the growth of all types of economies. If engineering is indeed a key driver, it behoves on our governments to adequately engage indigenous engineering personnel and firms in the design, supervision, and management of infrastructure for economic and social development in Nigeria. Like I said at the beginning, mine is to set the ball rolling, and we have a professor to deliver the real paper. So on this note, I'd like to thank the organizers of this lecture series once again for honoring my friend and my brother, a colleague president. And like I always say, the engineering profession is very lucky at this time to have Engineer Babagana Mohammed as president of NSC, working hand in hand with my humble self as the president of COREN. Together, we have agreed that what is paramount is for us to lift the engineering profession, for us to reclaim the engineering profession from quacks for engineering practitioners. And we're determined to do this. He has a 2-year tenure. I have about 2.5 years remaining in my own tenure also. And by the time we are done with our tenures, I believe that engineering will be the better for it. I congratulate you, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, and I wish you well. Thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Mr. President has spoken. should I say, it's my turn to spark. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this beautiful keynote address. We want to thank you immensely for your presence, and we pray that God will continue to guide and protect you. As you say, the remaining years you have in office shall be very fruitful to the benefit of the engineering profession and mankind. And God will continue to bless and keep you. Once again, we say a very big thank you to you. Before we go to the next item we have in our program, let me acknowledge the presence of Engineer Dr. Felicia Agubata, immediate past president of APWEN. You're welcome, ma. Also, we have Engineer Etodo Engan, FNAC. I know Engineer Etodo Engan is a very good friend of Engineer Babagana, so it's not a surprise that he is joining us all the way from Akwa Ibom State, and is the chairman of Ibom Power. Engineer Etodo Engan, you are welcome, sir. We also have Engineer Abiodun Awe. Engineer Abiodun Awe, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. You are welcome, sir. And also, I think, past chairman, NSC, Victoria Island branch. We also have engineer, today is a day of professors, because a professor is delivering a lecture today. And I know they have a tradition whenever one of them is going out to do, if a masquerade, a big masquerade is coming out in my place, other masquerades will accompany the big masquerade, and that is what professors do. So we have in our midst Engineer Professor Abubakar Sani Sambu, FNSC, FA Inch OON, former DG of Energy Commission and chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Power. You are welcome, Engineer A.S. Sambu. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, it's my honor to specially once again invite Engineer Rose Madaki, immediate past chairman, NSCVI branch, to present our guest lecturer to us. Engineer Rose Madaki, over to you, ma. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our program director, Engineer Ben Ossi, for doing a very nice job in anchoring this event. In my place, they say if you want to be a king, you should start behaving like a king, or if you want to be a queen, you should behave like one, or you should dine with one. I actually desire in my life to be a professor someday. So I am privileged and most honored to read the citation of a professor. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe patented a robotic system which the United States government acquired assigning rights. Dr. Ekekwe holds 2 doctoral and 4 master's degrees, including a PhD in engineering from the Hopkins University, United States of America. He earned undergraduate degree from Foote Howell, where he graduated as a class best student. While in analog devices core, he co-designed an accelerometer for the iPhone we are currently using. A recipient of IGI Global Book of the Year Award, a TAD Fellow, IBM Global Entrepreneur and World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders. Professor Ekegwe has held professorship in Mellon University and Babcock University, and served in the United States National Science Foundation Committee. The South African press called him a doctor of innovation for helping organizations on the mechanics of business innovation, strategy, and growth. Since 2009, the chairman of Famiscro Group, which controls many startups and entities, has been writing in the Harvard Business Review. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the time to introduce and present to you Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe for his lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's quite a moment and a great privilege for me to have this opportunity of speaking before you all in this capacity. And I will begin by thanking Mr. President for your service to our beautiful nation. I also want to thank the chair of Quorum. You know, when I was a student in Federal University of Technology, where those names were exceedingly esoteric. Quorum, Nigeria Society of Engineers, and we thank you all for your service to the engineering profession. When I left Futo, I went to the United States of America for a PhD in the Johns Hopkins University. I say here that the undergraduate education in Nigeria prepared me and gave me the necessary capabilities necessary for me to thrive in America. And that means that the regulation of engineering in our nation, that we are doing the right thing. I want to thank you all for serving. I want to thank you all for leading. I want to thank you for taking us to that mountaintop, because that future of our nation we go through when engineers rise in Nigeria. And through men and women like you, Nigeria has a promise. Today, I will be speaking on a topic titled the infrastructures of nations. Essentially, we're looking at the capabilities, models, processes, systems that are necessary to drive the efficiency in the utilization of factors of production. How can we view the infrastructures of the future? How can we drive leverageable growth in things that we do as a nation? Of course, if we do the right thing, Nigeria will become a greater nation. And when I will do that, I take you back to GDPs of nations over the last 2,000 years. I think I can share my slide here. I don't know if that is allowed, Mr. Coordinator. Let me try to show just a slide here. Okay, I think
Go ahead, you can share.
Okay, great. So thank you so much. Let me just do that. Okay, so I will take you through the GDPs of nations over the last 2,000 years. If you concatenate and aggregate and combine all the GDPs in the world, you have what they call the gross world product. And if you look at this plot here, you will see that over the last 2,000 years, for more than 1,500 years before the last 500, the GDPs of nations were flat. I have used the GDP of China and the GDP of United States because today they are the most two dominant economies. So what happens here that for more than 1,500 years, the world gross product was flat. The implication of that is that the world was not seeing any significant improvement in the GDP. Of course, at this time, there were empires and kingdoms, but man was poor. Man was poor because if the population was increasing and the GDP was not accelerating, the implication is that the per capita income was decelerating. And when the per capita income is decelerating, it means that people are getting poorer. And if people are getting poorer, the standard of living was actually dropping. So that was also the time, if you go back to your secondary school education, when Reverend Mathis postulated that the world food production was growing in only arithmetic progression, while the world population was growing in geometric progression. That means that if something was not done immediately, then that world will go into a state of paralysis because our capacity to feed ourselves will be outgrown by the population that we were actually bringing into the world. So the world was in a state of economic paralysis. There were obese, there were MES, of course there were others, but man was poor. That poverty was not because there were no ideas, If you go back to physics and chemistry, some of the most fascinating constellations and models, processes and fundamentals were actually created by men and women that lived here. But they were poor. They were poor because they lived in an inventive society. Inventive societies are societies where men and women are only postulating ideas without products and services. It's a society where people have solutions to electricity, people have solutions to potable water, people have solutions to transportation problems. But when you go back to look for products and services, you can't find them. So men created and built advances in physics and chemistry, but at the end of the day, there were no products and services to serve them. But something started happening around the 18th century. The gross world product started ramping up. It wasn't even quadratic. It became an exponential growth. So the world now moved from an inventive society into an innovation society. An innovation society is an engineering society because it's only an engineer that can take out those ideas, transition them into products and services that markets can actually buy. It's only when you have products and services that is when that elemental construct of economic system begins to work in economics, because market systems are designed to solve frictions which exist in the lives of people and the lives of companies. So the world moved from being inventive, a world of ideas. Chemistry professors created chemicals and compounds and put them into their shelves. But they could not build vaccines. They could not create drugs that families could buy when their kids are sick. But now a time came when that thing changed and the world saw growth. And that growth has been captured through GDP. What is GDP? An aggregate of economic activity that took place within a period of time. So for us to look at the infrastructure of nations, I want to really take us back. Why do we even bother? It comes back to the frictions in nations. Every country, every economy, every company, every human system, we all have frictions. Frictions are problems. Frictions are challenges. But how do we fix those frictions? We have to fix the frictions mainly through markets. But if the market has been perfect, there will not even be a need for some of those things. So when the citation of the president of Nigerian Society of Engineers was being read, and I was just going through my mind how he has participated through market systems to help to fix many frictions which existed in our nation. Markets are naturally imperfect, and that is the reason why we have companies. Somebody has something to sell, somebody wants to buy something, but there is an information asymmetry. I do not know where to buy that, and I do not even know whom to sell to. So suddenly we have companies. Let me explain it this way. Let's assume that today there is no restaurant in Lagos, and you are hungry. You have one option: to begin to knock at every door in Lagos, asking people if they have food to sell. And at the same time, you are looking for somebody who has food to sell. There is that possibility that somebody is also looking for you who he or she can serve. So you agree with me that knocking at every house in Lagos looking for somebody to sell food is not a very efficient way of doing it. So what happens? Somebody starts a company and now says that anytime you are hungry, instead of knocking at individual doors of families in Lagos, go to that restaurant. What has happened is that that restaurant now is fixing a friction which exists between the demand and supply. And by fixing that friction, it removes that information asymmetry problem, making it possible that the market processing can work better. As we have engineering companies, as we have the oil companies, as we have the construction companies, that is the fundamental construct of markets. Ability to fix frictions that exist between demand and supply. So the fixing that friction is actually how the total economic systems in nations evolve, because the GDP is an aggregate of all these elemental economic activities. So for Nigeria as a country, we need to have these companies that can help us to fix that market friction. And I'm just coming back to that. But for these companies to fix this friction, they have to have capabilities. Capabilities are things that technically make it possible that for companies to go into the market and solve the problem they say they want to solve. So for them to solve these problems, there are 5 cardinal things. Those 5 cardinal things are things that define the prosperity of nations. Are the infrastructures upon which nations are built. They are the most critical elements that actually define the competitiveness of one country and the competitiveness of one company from another. So the first one there is knowledge, and it's very, very key for us to understand that when we are looking at infrastructure, it's not just about the infrastructure of bridges, it's not about the infrastructure of roads. Of course, those things are critical. But I do believe vividly that winning the future for our nation in the engineering field will be our capacity to generate new knowledge, apply that new knowledge, and fix problems in a way that we can optimize all the elements of the factors of production. So if you go back, let's say in the Bible, they say that when Moses was called, that the people of Israel marveled because he studied under Pharaoh. At that time, the best university in the world was in Egypt. So the world recognized that knowledge then was a very critical element in building the infrastructure of nations. In the United States of America today, the best possible product America has is the educational system, because it makes it possible that US can renew itself. That no matter what the world throws at America, America has the capacity to renew itself. So knowledge infrastructure is a very key thing that Nigeria as a nation and the Nigeria Society of Engineering, just like we were prepared many years ago in Futo, that if we can invest, deepen that capability through improvement in engineering curriculum, improvement in engineering process, like Corem is doing, we will rise as a nation. If you go back to the old time of the material component debate of the universe, when Pythagoras, Thales, Heraclitus were debating the constructs of the universe, you will also see that the Greeks were ruling the world of trade. If you go to Kos Island in Greece today, you see the old shipping lines they built in Europe. As you look through the Mediterranean Sea, you see some of the infrastructures they actually built during the time that the Greeks were actually dominating the world of knowledge. So we need knowledge. We also need entrepreneurial capitalism, because engineers of today cannot just be engineers on paper. We need to rise as a people that we can move our nation from being inventive to a nation of innovation society. Because inventive societies are societies of ideas, but innovation societies are societies that can build products and services. How is it possible that we can still see young people crawling on the ground because we say they are spinal cord, they are paralyzed? Some of these challenges are solved through microprocessors where people plant them, cutting off the efferent neuron and the intermediate neurons, making it possible that we can reactivate through pattern generators so that people can work. Miracles do not only need to happen in the church. Miracles do not only need to happen in the mosque. Miracles are happening in engineering labs and happening in the universities. But it's only when we can bring that knowledge and combine with entrepreneurial capitalism that is actually the time we can build the necessary infrastructure that we need in this nation. I tell you about men like Kediki. When he began his business, America did not even understand what he was trying to do. When you look at men like Rockefeller, when he began the oil business, the US government didn't have a clue. But because he was a pioneer, he built a business that was even bigger. And then the country came later to regulate him because he pioneered something. You know, imagine where we have 20 Dangotes. Imagine where we have men that have pioneered through entrepreneurial capitalism, building the fundamental constructs that we can use to rise as a nation. So we also need infrastructure of capital. There are so many brilliant engineers in our nation today. Not many of them are expected to go and work for people. But how can Nigeria build infrastructure of capital? And that is also one area I do believe vividly that if we can have that infrastructure of capital, we can seed an innovation society. Seeding an innovation society means that those that have ideas could be supported with capital for them to go into the market and fix the friction which exists in the marketplace. And the biggest one, I believe that if as a nation, if as engineers of Nigeria, if we fix it, poverty in Nigeria would drop by more than 37%. Our data shows us one thing, that one of the most dormant, latent opportunity in Nigeria is in the land. Is in the land. If you travel from Zamfara State to Abia State, you travel from Oyo State to Yobe State, you see massive hectares of land. In the balance sheet of Nigeria, most of those lands not in the zero because they are not in the balance sheet of Nigeria. And that is the reason why a man that has 1,000 acres of land is considered a poor man. What can Nigerian engineers do to fix that paralysis? What can Nigerian engineering profession do to make it possible that a man that has 1,000 acres of land in his village cannot be seen as a poor man? So it comes down to what I have called the land velocity. How is it possible that a man that has 10,000 acres of land can easily sell that piece of land or sell a part of that land to get the necessary capital he or she needs to go and do something else? Because Nigeria has not done it. We have men and women who are living on wealth, but today they are exceedingly very poor. And that is the reason why our banks are not operating in rural communities, because massive latent opportunities have not been unlocked. If you go back to the history of America, 1796, Samuel Hopkins was given the first patent. And America went into a process of property rights by making it possible that men and women could own properties. And those properties will have velocity that they could be sold and resold, and rebought and resold. Men and women were unlocked out, locked out of opportunities. In other words, what I'm saying here is this. One of the most important infrastructure for growth in Nigeria is what we already have. If you can make it possible that somebody in Lagos could buy land in Zamfara State, and the government of Zamfara State can keep that data without the man having to go to Zamfara State to see the land. And anytime he wants to sell that land, he can resell that land to somebody in Imo State. You will suddenly see that people we think that are poor in Zamfara, people who think that are poor in Abia State, they will suddenly become rich people. And if they are rich people, they'll have credits that our banks can begin to lend them money. And if they have credits, they can now invest in agriculture, taking some parts of the land, sell some parts of the land, and use the money to invest in other parts of the land they have. Their children can now go to school. They can also have good care services. But because that infrastructure has not been unlocked, that is still the reason why we are still in this paralysis. Of course, the most important one is what the Nigerian Society of Engineers and the Council of Regulation of Engineering is already doing, which is level. How do we improve our capacity to have the right engineers? These infrastructures, if we improve on them, we will now have the capacity to see that our nation will rise. And I will say here, how do we improve this infrastructure? One thing we have to look in Nigeria from the Nigerian Society of Engineers angle is even our tax system. I know that as engineers, we are not worried about it. But I can tell you clearly that one of the biggest infrastructural tools in the world is how nations use tax codes to drive, I would say, even engineering or technical profession. Few months ago, Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world, wanted to have some young people that will work in this factory. Apple said, okay, I have tens of millions of dollars, but I am not necessarily going to hire these young people. So Apple said that I am going to give this money to community colleges in the United States. And these community colleges have to train these young people for us so that when they are trained, we can now start building factories in US instead of China. So there was something unique that happened there. The money that Apple gave the community colleges in America are going to be tax deductible. They are not considered expense. The implication of that is that by giving to schools to fund and train young people in the technical area, America is going to reward Apple, seeing that money it is investing in these schools as tax deductible, not as an expense. But let's say, for instance, if Bua Group, Dangote Group, or Ibeto Cement, if they should do the same thing in Nigeria, the Nigerian tax system will capture that money they are giving to schools as expense. Therefore, it's not giving them incentives to actually invest in technical education. So tax system is key. We need to see how we can use that process to unlock opportunities of the future, making it possible that people can give generously for us to drive educational system within the technical field. And of course, intellectual property rights is key. If we do not have the capacity to protect IPs, it is going to make it very difficult for us to actually attract the young talent that we need in the country. If you see what is happening in Yaba today, if you see what is happening in Lagos State today, we are going through a process of a Cambrian moment where investors around the world are coming into Nigeria to invest. They may go with the name startup, they may go with the name IT company, but if you go below, all these things are all engineering companies, because IC, IT, or whatever they call it, is an offspring of engineering. In other words, engineering profession in Nigeria is advanced because the software systems, the IT system, the ICT systems, they are all elements of engineering. So if we deepen our IP, more creative companies are going to come into this economy. And I'll say that if we do these things, Nigeria should be an economy of $3 trillion in GDP. There is no reason why we are still below $500 billion. And I will not allow us to have an excuse of government. I will not allow us to have to say that the government has not done what government should do. Because when engineers emerge in nations, nations rise. The promises of politicians are for engineers to implement them. Because men like Kennedy did not wait for government to give them the opportunity to rise. Men like Rockefeller did not wait for government to give them opportunity to build the oil industry. In other words, the engineering profession in Nigeria should have the capacity to rise and lead men and women that can actually help us to get to that mountaintop. Agriculture remains a weak point in our nation. How do we build the agricultural system of the future? How do we build the healthcare system of the future? How do we bring velocity in our real estate? How do we change the educational infrastructure of Nigeria? And how do we go back to that technology phase? When the engineers build, nations move from talking, from ideas into products and services. It's only when products and services are in market, that is when we are fixing the friction which exists in companies. That is when we are fixing friction which exists in nations. So our job today is fixing those frictions by doing. And when we do 3 trillion GDP by 2030 through the engineering profession, redesigning the architecture of the Nigerian economy by becoming doers and building things, those things are possible. And as we do that, great things will happen because we have some of the most clustered engineering teams in the world. I mean, Nigeria has a very great heritage in engineering because many of our young people, they come here to the United States of America, they do exceedingly well. And some of them are leading great projects in America. Like myself, I worked in the team that designed accelerometer for the iPhone. But the question is this: if I have stayed back in Nigeria, I would have done that. And that is where that disconnect, we have to find a way to fix that problem. So that is also moving us from operating at the downstream to moving at the upstream. The downstream is largely area where things are not really sophisticated. It's just like in the oil industry, you have the downstream and the upstream sector. Our capacity as a people to move up there is going to be very, very critical for us. And as we do that, I believe vividly that the COVID-19 has provided us a management lesson. It has given us an opportunity for us to shape many things we do as engineers. Just like His Excellency, the governor of Anambra State stated, that the way we design things today have to change. The way we operate has to change. The way we think as engineers have to change, because COVID-19 has changed the ordinance of the practice of engineering. So the question now is when, as engineers, are we now moving them to the new basis of competition where we can actually offer services in Nigeria that will not meet the needs, expectations, but the perceptions of the Nigerian people? The needs of customers are things that customers know they need. But the expectation of customers are things that you give them, even though they have not asked for those things. The perception of customers is when you take them to a dimension that they can experience something they have not necessarily imagined. And I believe that our possibilities and the promises of Nigeria has to go through the engineering profession, because there is no other profession that solves problems in societies. The men that invented the fundamentals of chemistry, many of them died poor. When they died, their families were so poor they could not even afford a graveyard for them. The people that pioneered the constructs we have in physics were poor. But the men that turned those ideas into products and services, solving problems in societies, they were the innovators, and innovators are engineers. And if, as a people in Nigeria, we can move and rise to turn these clusters of ideas we have around the nation to things that solve the engineering problem, to societal problem in Nigeria, we are going to be and take this nation to the mountaintop. COVID, we are expecting many possibilities to happen over the next few quarters. I'm just rounding up here. I know I don't have a lot of time. First thing is this: the economy has gone down, and the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics certainly will tell us how the economy has contracted in the next few weeks. Are we going to have a V shape, which means the economy dive and the economy is going to ramp up? Unfortunately, Nigeria has not been very lucky to experience this kind of curve. Remember in 2009, 2008, when we went down, the stock market has not even recovered from the high of 2007. So that means that we have lagged about 12 years, more than 12 years since that paralysis happened. So we are not expecting a V shape. And we should be lucky if we have this U shape. But what has happened over the years is that Nigeria has gone through a dreaded L shape. In other words, whenever we go down, as a people, we find it difficult to come up. And the reason is because whenever we go down because of our reliance in the energy sector, the Nigerian exchange rate of Naira to the dollar drops. And when the exchange rate of the dollar drops, it takes us a little bit down. And when it takes us a little down, even any effort we make, another paralysis will come in and the Naira drops. And when the Naira drops, we keep going down. That is a vicious cycle. And vicious cycles, you don't negotiate them out. What you need to do in a vicious cycle is to create a new path. And that path is what I call Nigeria has to find a new basis of competition so that we can leave that vicious cycle. It's only when we can leave that vicious cycle, that's when we can begin a new path in our nation. Because if we cannot begin a new path, we will continue to experience L shape. This L shape has a very significant risk associated with it. It has a very significant risk associated with it because of one thing. When the population of a people is growing faster than the economic growth, it means that the citizens are getting poorer across generations. Because per capita income drops because more people are sharing the smaller economic output. And when that happens, people are getting poorer. And when people are getting poorer, they become stressed. And when they become stressed, they start looking for how to grab. And when they are looking for how to grab, corruption will rise, stress will rise, conflict will rise, and nations begin to fade. But engineers offer a future. And one of the things we have learned is a new redesign. Unfortunately, the political system cannot change that. And that's where the engineers have to rise. We are seeing that under this COVID, we have opportunities. We have the opportunity to build a new Nigerian economy that will be built on one thing: how to fix frictions that exist in our markets. It's not identifying a problem, it's going out to fix that friction. And when we fix it, great things will happen. And I'm just rounding up to note that we have this capacity. We have accumulated this capacity as a nation. Current has done a phenomenal job. The Nigerian Society of Engineers has done a marvelous job. But what we need now is execution. Execution means the Nigerian moment, the rise of nations has always followed when engineers rise. And it's only when the engineers rise, that's when frictions in markets are fixed. This is the Nigerian moment. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, 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 wow. We can actually do better than that. Let's put our hands together for him, please. In fact, I have to say it this way. This lecture reminds me of one thing. This lecture reminds me of one thing, and that's, I know many of us know what I'm talking about. It reminds me of something that is very significant in the history of mankind. And that took place on the 28th day of August, 1963. Many of us are very conversant with that march of 28th day of August, 1963. And when I say this, I know you will be conversant with what I'm saying. One of the excerpts from that speech was, "Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, and so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is my dream. It is a dream deeply rooted, I will not say in the American dream, but today I will say in the Nigerian dream." And that was, "I Have a Dream" speech by Martin Luther King. When the lecturer was presenting his lecture, the flow and everything reminded me of that great man, Martin Luther King. Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe, we are very proud of this lecture you have presented today. And we say a very big thank you to you for this wonderful lecture. And God will continue to bless and keep you. Once again, let's put our hands together for him, please.
Thank you.
We are gradually winding up the program, and I'll just take these few recognitions. We will go straight to the few goodwill messages we have, and definitely we cannot do this program without having a remarks from our honor. But we have to do that when we must have taken few goodwill messages. And before then, let me also acknowledge the presence of the first chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, VI branch, Engineer Elewa. Please, can we put our hands together for Engineer Elewa? The governor of Nasarawa State has already taken his turn. We are supposed to be having another goodwill message from the governor of Borno State. And I have been informed that he will be joining us whenever he joins us. If he joins us before the end of the program, we are going to take that. But if he doesn't join us, that means we'll pass the message of the success of the program to him. Quickly, I have to recognize my boss, Engineer Professor Adisa Bello, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Engineer Adisa Bello, you are welcome. Also, quickly, I think I'm waiting for a signal from Lagos on the next person that we take our goodwill message, but let me, since we have the mama of all the female engineers in Nigeria, all the women engineers in Nigeria, Engineer Joan Olumadoka, and is Mama Babagana. So we are going to give him the opportunity to give us goodwill message on today's event. Then we take one or two more, and we now invite Engineer Babagana for his remarks, and we round off the program. Engineer Joan Olumadoka, Mommy, you are welcome. Over to you, ma.
Are you unmute me, please? Please unmute me.
You can go ahead, ma.
This is not alive. No.
Okay.
Because
We can hear you. We can hear you clearly, ma. We can hear you clearly, ma. Go ahead, please.
If you can hear me, I wish to congratulate my president, Babagana Mohammed. Congratulations. You are doing us proud. Looks like we'll be going around some states already. Yes. And I was glad to see that you are making those branches. Please continue that. It's very tiring, but I know you can do it. We need all the branches in this country. We need to reach out to all the branches, all the divisions, and if possible, all the institutions. I wish you luck. This is a very special time for me. I finished from one meeting before I joined this. And I did this very thoroughly. And Madam Ruth, Madaki, you started something very remarkable. And I must congratulate you also. Congratulations. It's a very hard working man. And the current chairman of the BI, that is actually my branch. I complained that I wasn't getting invited to most of the meetings. They reached out to us old people. For instance, my husband intended the invitation to this very important occasion. He said he joined briefly before the occasion. Thanks very much to all the participants. Without you, I don't think this would have taken place. My president, congratulations once again. Always nice to be associated with you.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you once again for this beautiful keynote address. Let me, before I invite the next person to speak, let me acknowledge the presence of the immediate past president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, past president, Nigerian Site of Engineers, Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali, FNSC, FA Eng, MNI. You are welcome, sir. Let me also call on Engineer Kwame Buaki, past president, Ghana Institution of Engineering, for his goodwill message. Engineer Kwame Buaki. Engineer Kwame Buaki joining us all the way from Ghana. As he gets ready, let me call on past president of Koren, Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali, for his goodwill message. We'll come back to Engineer Kwame Buaki.
Thank you very much. Let me adopt all protocols already established. I'd like to congratulate the Nigerian Site of Engineers, Victoria Island branch, for this feat of having the lecture in the name of our president, number one, and holding a successful one, the second one. And also to congratulate the president on this achievement, the honor of being celebrated by a branch in which he was involved in the formation. We are at a difficult time in the life of our country and the whole world. Something we never knew could happen in our lifetime is happening, the pandemic. We don't even know what will follow. But all this call for putting us thinking caps and making the world a more comfortable place to live in. This is a new normal, and it's not going to leave us so soon. We'll continue to live our lives differently from the way we have always lived. And we have to really prepare for it, because science and technology has to drive the new world order. Whether we are ready or not, the load is on our shoulders and we have to bear it. I thank you very much for the opportunity to do this goodwill message and to congratulate all engineers that are participating. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our past president. You are welcome, and we thank you for honoring us with your presence in this year's program. We go over to Engineer Kwame Buaki. I don't know if Engineer Kwame Buaki is ready for his goodwill message. If Engineer Kwame Buaki is not ready, let me invite.
Please, okay, I am.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give a goodwill message for such a wonderful presentation. As I've always maintained that our continent is going nowhere without engineering. And I believe that COVID has amply demonstrated that if we are going to have the innovation, you know, that the good professor talked about, we need a huge dosage of engineering. And those of us on the line and our colleagues will have to be charged with moving our continent, you know, forward. And it is through interactions like these, exchanging ideas, fertilizing each other. That's what is going to move us forward and make sure that our continent actually not just catches up, but actually stays abreast and maybe even move ahead of, you know, the rest. And I'm very, very confident and very hopeful that we will get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kwame Buaki, past president, Ghana Institute of Engineering. You're welcome, sir. Let me,
thank you, sir.
I think we take the last one, Engineer Abubakar Sani Sambo. Engineer Professor Abubakar Sani Sambo. Goodwill message from Engineer Professor Abubakar Sani Sambo. While we are waiting for him, let me acknowledge the presence of Engineer Popola, all the way from UK. That's the chairman of our UK branch. You're welcome, sir. Engineer Professor A.A. Sambo, please, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make some comments at this very important event. I congratulate the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I congratulate Mr. President, and this is the way to go. We need innovation in this era of pandemic. And if we come together, there is nothing we cannot do as Nigerian engineers. We should continue in this mode, even when the pandemic is over, so that we can move our country forward to develop, given the fact that we are so way off in so many areas of human endeavor. But coming together like this, I believe we will soon get over the problems. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to comment. I'm actually waiting to see the Minister of Environment That's why I have to quickly make the comments and go and see him. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate the last but not the least, Engineer Dr. Omar Babagana, FNSC, immediate past Secretary to the State Government, Adamawa State, Engineer Omar Babagana.
Hello, thank you very much. It's fantastic seeing all my leaders and my friends on the platform with over 300 people registered. This is a fantastic feat. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate our president, the dynamic president. With that very long CV, I think if we follow the submission of Professor Ndubisi, we should vote for Babagana to actually become the president of Nigeria. That CV is intimidating, and for us to utilize engineers to push Nigeria and by implication Africa to the next level, we need a practicing engineer sitting on that chair. Congratulations, Professor Ndubisi. You used to be my friend, but you've abandoned your brother. But now that I found you, send me a mail immediately this conference is finished so that we can reconnect. Ben, thank you for the opportunity to again show my face and thank everybody and wish you the very best. Victoria Island, you are the champ. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are happy to have you here, my boss. I think it will be unfair if we don't take somebody from the oil and gas sector. I can see Engineer Patricia Opene-Odili, who is a board of trustee member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Engineer Patricia Opene-Odili, Engineer Dr. Patricia Opene-Odili, goodwill message from you, ma. On behalf of all the engineers, the oil and gas sector. Ma, over to you. You can unmute your mic, ma. Okay. While we are waiting for her, I think we have to take somebody from the executive committee members for executive committee of NSC. Babagana is the president of NSC today. Last year, he was not the president when it was instituted. So one of the executive committee members will speak. And I know we have the deputy president engineer, TSG Woodil, is here. Engineer TSG Woodil will speak on behalf of the executive committee members. If he is not here now, then we take Engineer Aishatu Ali Umar to speak on behalf of the executive committee members. Engineer TSG Woodil, FNSC, Deputy President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Okay, we can take Engineer Aishatu Ali Umar.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Director of Programs. Okay, thank you. Let me just go ahead. First and foremost, I want to say very big thank you to NSC VIE branch, Lagos, Engineer John Audu. And I want to say a very big congratulations to my president, a very senior colleague, my professional senior colleague, a brother and a friend, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, president and chairman in council of our great society. Good evening all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my vice president and national chairman of my division. And I don't know if Engineer Patricia Opene-Odili is set. I just noticed that Engineer Adamola Isaac Olorufemi is in the house. I introduced him earlier. I think a past president of his caliber cannot be in this program without speaking. So I hand over to Engineer Demola Isaac Olofemi, FNSE, past president, Nigerian Society of Engineers, for his goodwill message.
Okay, it means I have to just hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can I go ahead or?
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, who we fondly call BG, the Lagos boy, my past president and brother, Ajinake Ali, my mama is here, Maduka. Current president, my own brother, very distinguished sisters and brother. I want to thank you all. I want to congratulate VI branch. VI branch actually started in a metropolitan way. And like Engineer current president mentioned, our president in Babagana was part of it from the beginning. He was a foot soldier, and becoming the president is a good reward for hard work. General branch, Rose Madeki, very now do. I think some older branch need to wake up. A lot have been said there. We must not live on old glory. Congrats, VI branch. Guest lecturer, I'm not sure we've met. Let me repeat what I wrote on the chat. That was awesome. That was awesome. I am sure we're going to tap more into what you have done. You are a pride to NS, the president of Nigeria. You are proud to the Nigerian university system. Congratulations. I don't know if Governor Nasarawa is still here. Mr. Governor, I greet you. Well done. Thank everyone. I thank the branch again for this opportunity. Director of programs, well done. Keep it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President just reminded us that President Babagana Mohammed is a Lagos boy. And I want to put that he's not just a Lagos boy, he's a Lagos boy from VI. Let us leave it there. I hand over to our mommy, Engineer Dr. Patricia Opene Odili, FNSE, for his goodwill message. For her goodwill message, sorry.
You've made me him, but it's all right. I forgive you always, you know.
Thank you, man.
Oh, this is such a delight. I am so proud of every one of you, and more proud of my president, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, or FNSC. With all due respect, I stand on the existing protocols and I say good evening to all of you. And very special thanks to our professor. You made me so proud. You know what? You make me feel like going back and doing some more research. Thank you so much. That was awesome. It was brilliant. It was apt, and it's very good thing to wake us all up. It's time to wake up. It's time to build our country, Nigeria. I believe in this country, and I know there is a future for this country, not just for myself, for our children and our children's children. So I see a great country coming out of all of this. God bless you all and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Ma. We appreciate you. That's a golden voice from Engineer Dr. Patricia Opene Odili, past president of APWEN. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have done justice to this year's Engineer Babagana Mohammed annual lecture. And what has a beginning, they say also has an ending. That means we have come to the end of this program. On that note, it's my honor to invite to give us a vote of thanks the chairman of the planning committee of this great lecture, Engineer Tunde James. Engineer Tunde James, over to you. Goodwill message to be delivered by Engineer Tunde James. Engineer Tunde James, are you with us?
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I want to thank God first that all efforts not in vain. Standing on established protocol, I say a big thank you to our invited guests for their precious time and honor dedicated to this event. His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, current presidents, our guest speaker, that was wonderful, our own Babagana Mohammed. We thank all the leaders in the House, past presidents, chairmen. We thank you for all the experience shared. We hope to maintain a network of relationship and will continually benefit. We want to maintain a network of relationship that will continually benefit the society at large. I wish that we continue in this mood. Thank you so much. I wish everyone a remarkable event. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Tunde James. Mr. President, I want to also tell you that, yeah, I have been directing this program from Abuja, all the way from Abuja. And with me are also members of my team, people we have been training on how to do this job. And they are the ones that facilitated and made sure that what we did from Abuja end was a success. And we want to thank them. You can see them on the screen. We want to appreciate them and say a very big thank you to them. And in a very short while, you'll be hearing their voices on the microphone in NSC events.
I have not recovered my.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to once again thank all of us for participating in this year's Engineer Babagana Mohammed annual lecture. It's been wonderful. Once again, I remain. Sir?
Let me make a correction here. You did not give me time to respond. You forgot me.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, but it's okay, it's okay. This is the new normal.
Sorry about that.
This is the new normal.
This one is beyond the new normal, sir. So I want to hand over, I said it earlier, that after the goodwill messages, we're going to be having a remarks from our honoree, and our honoree is no other person but the man we all call President Babagana Mohammed. Over to you, Mr. President. Thank you very much for reminding me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You see, because we are excited, I was ordinarily not going to talk, but for records, let me say a word or two because I need to appreciate all those senior colleagues that came. I cannot leave them without saying them thank you for their time. So quickly let me say, first and foremost, I give gratitude to God Almighty, the creator of the heaven and the earth, and the honor of the supreme of everything between the heaven and the earth for making it possible for all of us to witness this day and this event. By virtue of my position as the president, I am automatically the chairman of this event, hosted by my branch or by any branch or division in Nigeria today. Today, I'm wearing double caps. I'm the chairman and at the same time, distinguished honorary of this memorable event, being the second in Babagana Mohammed annual lecture of the Victoria Land Branch, Nigeria State of Engineers. I'm so blessed. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much. Ordinarily, in an event as this, I'll be paying tributes to the honorary that is being celebrated. But I cannot praise myself on this occasion today. Therefore, my speech today is going to be basically centered on gratitude and appreciations. And I start by showing my profound appreciation to the excellencies, the executive governor of National State, Engineer Sule, who despite his tight schedule, still called and still joined the meeting. I also want to appreciate Professor Babagana Mohammed, the executive governor of Borno State, who also called and said he is in a network difficult zone. He cannot join. It's still part of our appreciation. That shows they are all with us in their heart. We appreciate them, and also our special guests. I'm grateful to both of them. I've always shown love and support to any cause that I undertake. Your Excellencies, may Allah continue to show you honor and mercy. The President for the Council of Engineering, Engineer A. Rabiu, FNSC, who is my keynote speaker, what will I say? He's my regulator. He's already my regulator. What will I say? I will keep quiet. Thank you. I am very delighted by this noble gesture of the lecture in my honor, by the Victoria branch of NSC. I hereby declare that whatever modest achievement I may have recorded as one of the founding members, an ESCO member, and eventually the chairman of the branch, is attributed to the collective effort of every member of the branch that I work with one time or another. We did it together and we achieve it together. Therefore, this honor is for all of us. Even though I'm a member of all the branches of NSC now, let it be on record that I owe a debt of gratitude to the members of and executive of NSC Victoria branch for the constant support I received from all of you up till when I became the president of Nigeria Engineers. The love and support has not ceased from coming, even to this moment, as you have continued to carry me on your shoulders. Engineer Leba is in this forum. He is my boss. He's the one that groomed all of us. I appreciate you. I must also use this opportunity to extend my personal appreciation to our past president, on whose shoulders I am riding. They made it possible for me to come and then ride on their stride, for their guidance and parental advices. I also want to appreciate the Professor Izoke has done excellently well.
Yeah.
He made our day. Prof, you are my friend on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I think we need to link in very well. Finally, the theme for today's lecture couldn't have come at better time than now. COVID-19 has come with unprecedented tendencies, which have dislodged the regular living and official standards and procedures across the world. We must live with COVID-19 and we must navigate through this hard period. Lessons were learned morally, socially, politically, economically, and professionally in order to help us adapt to the new normal. I have no doubt that our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Ndubisi Ekwe, chairman of Fafamikro Group, has some compelling lessons to teach us and has taught us this evening. Professor, I greet you. Please let's link in. On this note, I say thank you for listening, and I want to appreciate all my past presidents, my senior colleagues. I saw the London branch, I saw Scotland branch, I saw my colleagues from Dubai, Namibia and Co. I saw people from Finland doing me. I am honored. Your Excellencies, I am honored. My colleagues, I am honored. I appreciate all of you. Good evening to all.
Thank you, Mr. President. I assure you that the professor is going to link you in. Professor, take note of that. Mr. President, you have done justice to, you have actually crowned today's event. And I want to put it on record that VI has come to be part of your history. And we continue to be. I have 3 Babaganas in my contact. One I saved as Babagana VI. One I saved as Babagana Medugri. And one I saved as Babagana FHA. I know Engineer Aisha Touma understand what I mean by Babagana FHA. Thank you very much, Mr. President. On that note, we have come to the end of this epoch-making and historic event. May we now take the closing prayer. Second stanza of our national anthem. We will recite together as we say, O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, use the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Amen. The national anthem.
Amen.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.